Well, I have a gut reaction that, not that I know this for a fact, but we shall see today, that Bernanke might talk about taper and may say some things to drive the markets down with the metals. I don't know, man. I don't know, but, it would make sense because from this angle, I think the metals are going to go up when we have the next crisis with the debt and the budgets and everything like that. So why not drive them down now? They stalled off the crisis for a few months, so why not drive them down right now, right? Through some choice words of his. But anyway, will Wall Street prostitutes survive? And I'm not talking about the ones in the suits. Actually, I got this chart here, and it turns out that, here's a real good indication of the economy. This is actually the vice and gambling chart. How much money's being spent on it and stuff like that. It looks like back, in when gold and silver was doing very well in April, there was plenty of money to spend on prostitution and gambling. But since lately, things have actually been depreciating in that area. And I think Ben Bernanke is out there, checking it out himself. Janet Yellen's not going to. She's just going to print money. But, it looks like this is going to be one of the problems that's going to be coming up because, they're not going to be able to taper due to like what's going on in the actual population. But they may be tapering just to put some money in the pockets of the big bucks traders and the investment houses that run Wall Street. But one good indication, and actually there's two good indications. One is this prostitution index. How much money's being spent on prostitution. It's like, I don't know who gathers this information exactly. It might be Ben Bernanke on the weekends. I don't know. But, probably is. Janet Yellen's not going to be able to do this function. It's probably going to be carried out infinitum with Ben Bernanke with his, his other role as Fed chairman. But the other thing out there is the garbage index. And these are two things that nobody talks about when you listen to financial news. But you know what? They make the most sense out of everything. The garbage index has been going down, which usually follows the GDP. It's always been going down. And I don't have too many numbers on it, but every once in a while I see something from Bloomberg, basically compiled from all the containers that railways are shipping that are, getting rid of garbage in the nation. So the more stuff people throw away, that means the more money they got, right? They spend more, they throw away more. And when they don't have, they don't throw away nothing, right? They save everything. So the garbage index is actually a good indication of how well the people are doing. And also the prostitution index. And actually, if you look back at what happened in Ukraine and Lithuania and stuff, the prostitution index fell really bad. And also you'd find a lot more good-looking women working as waitresses in restaurants because they can't find jobs in, the offices. So, the index factor of good-looking waitresses goes up. Actually, these type of economic factors are always ignored by, the major media. I don't know, maybe it's too politically incorrect, but they make too much common sense, So, it's something to really look at. And, they've been going down. These indications have been going down. Plus, the garbage index has been going down besides, which means the economy's not going good. But Ben Bernanke, he may talk about taper anyway, because that's going to maybe throw a curveball into the markets a little bit with the gold and silver, drop it down a little bit. I don't think it's going to go like, real crazy drops, but hey, it might drop silver a little bit from what he tells us coming up here today. But I think it's going to start taking off in 2014 after we have the problems with the budgets coming up and everything else. Like how we're going to keep raising the debt ceiling, how we're going to maintain our debt, how we're going to provide incentives to the big banks to hold money with keeping interest rates real low, right? So, but I'm going to tell you this. I ain't anti-American at all. A lot of these people on the internet, they almost sound like they're freaking anti-American all the way. I'm not anti-American. I recognize, so what? The toilet paper monies might get devalued a lot. And, a lot of this is because of other nations in the world that want to run the same racket. It's not like they're better than the elite over here. They got their guys over on the other side of the world trying to run the same racket, and they could be worse. I stick with 101 common sense all the way. So, I may be putting out a lot more videos on, welding cars or some crap and stuff like that, because actually, the thing that's actually going to save, this stuff don't matter. This stuff don't matter, really. It don't matter. I'm smart enough. I know I got gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and all that garbage. And, I don't worry about it. I don't worry about it. I know there's going to be a problem coming up, but I prepared for it. I prepared for it. Now, I hinted at something where I think there might be a good investment later on, because, when we have high inflation, I say that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to go to Zimbabwe inflation, Weimar Republic inflation, but we're going to have high inflation at one point in time. A lot of people think high inflation means that there's a lot of high demand for goods. No, that's because, the dollars may be getting in the economy that are being held in the big banks, and maybe all of a sudden that big mountain of water that's behind the dam where all the banks are holding the money, all of a sudden it went into the economy. That's why we got inflation, excess supply of money, right? Which is not circulating the economy right now. It's actually being held. But once it hits the economy, we'll have inflation. Actually, inflation is going to kill business, right? Well, I'm going to tell you one thing I was thinking. You can laugh at it, whatever the hell it is. But, you know what I think is actually going to break as a bubble? You're going to laugh at this. But, I've been looking at some of these classic cars that have been out on the markets for so freaking long. And they're going up to these crazy, crazy, crazy prices. Where, they're worth, 50 times what the hell they were when they were brand new and stuff. Because they're actually being traded between the wealthy. And I think the market on that is going to collapse, because the wealthy are going to get hit with this next big whammy, and they're going to have to sell off stuff. And they're going to be winding up selling off stuff like that. And I bet you that's going to be something that's going to collapse. It's almost sounds like a stupid thing, but it's not a stupid thing, because I'd like to pick up stuff cheap and then maybe sell it later for more money. Actually, I think there might be a collapse in the price of some of that stuff out there. These $200,000 cars that they sell in, in, I don't know where the hell it is, Haggerty's, I don't know, these stupid places. They're getting ridiculous. They're getting ridiculous. I never pay that kind of money for a stupid car. And I think they're going to go down, because they're being traded between a small group of people, and they're all bidding the price up themselves. What happens in the economy when you got to get down to the essentials? That stuff like that's going to go right through the floor. So I might actually invest in some of that stuff. I remember this. You're gonna think it's crazy, but I don't think it's that crazy. But I remember times when motorcycles were freaking. And you think it's stupid, but you know what? It ain't stupid if it freaking makes money. I remember when motorcycles, like when Harley Davidson was going almost out of business practically, and AMF came along and helped them survive. Actually, they had a lot of bikes like you can get really cheap in the 60s. They were dirt cheap. That's why these choppers became popular. Now it's almost like, freaking solid gold or some crap, It's ridiculous. I think the price of that stuff is going to drop like crazy. So I might go into a little bit of that stuff too, because I personally like that kind of stuff. But I think that would be a pretty cool long-term investment that I might enjoy too. So if you think that's thinking outside the box, what the hell? What the hell? Some of the stuff that's out there that's $200,000 might be, a tenth the price someday. And because it's just like what happened with real estate. But I think it's going to happen even more severe like that, because, This classic car market almost reminds me of, I don't know, they're pumping up the stupid prices themselves, and it's been going up for so damn long. I think it's a bubble. And if there actually comes to a point where there's severe inflation in the United States, that demand for that stuff is going to drop like crazy. And it will. It will, man. It's like whatever seems to be a high goes to a severe low. So, I figured I'd throw that out there. That's an idea I have. You might think it's a stupid idea, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think it's going to be a smart idea. So, and actually it's some area that I kind of have an interest in too, besides this accounting financial garbage. But, let me tell you this too. A lot of these people talking about the collapse of the United States, I don't like them. You know why? Because they're freaking practically useless. They're basically office tweebs. And that's the one thing I don't like about a lot of these people, because they're also anti-American office tweebs. You know what I'm saying? And, I could see what's going on. I mean, yeah, I think there's going to be a devaluation in the dollar. I think the globalists want everything leveled off, and they want the United States weakened to bring everything into the New World Order. But, screw the globalists. They're a bunch of office tweebs, too. You know what I mean? And, you got to remember, keep the faith, man. You don't freaking go against your own country and shit like that because, things are going bad. Because I could tell you, there's been a lot more times, with all these doom and gloomers and all this crap they're throwing out there scaring people for profit. They make me sick, Actually, I guess the worst time in the United States was during the time of the Civil War, between the North and the South, And, I know that wasn't about slavery originally. It was really about states' rights originally, right? That's really what it was about originally. And, it became an issue later because actually during that time in New York City, they had the biggest protest against, the war against being drafted than they had far more bigger protest against that war. That was actually a far more tumultuous time in the United States than, what's happening now or during the Great Depression or World War II or anything like that. So, I mean, these doom and gloomers, man, they make me want to puke because they got it easy, man. And they're just making money off of doom and gloom. But I do think gold and silver is going to go up a lot. And that doesn't mean, the end of the freaking world. Just remember that, man. Just remember that. And these guys giving you advice about the end of the world, 99.9% of them don't know anything. They can't pick up a wrench. They can't pick up a hammer. They can't do anything. That's why they make me want to puke, man. But, the actual indications that the economy is bad, I'll give you two real indications. Prostitution index is way down. That's, gambling and prostitution index is way down. And the garbage industry of throwing away stuff because people got to hold on to the stuff that they have. They're not throwing away too much stuff. That's way down. See, the economy's not looking too good. But despite that, Ben Bernanke might throw in a couple hints about taper today. I think he's going to throw a curveball. And that's just to drive stuff down because I think in early 2014, when the real crisis that was supposed to hit in October that was delayed, when that hits, the metals are going to fly up. When they start taking off, they're going to take off. But don't concentrate on that garbage. You got stuff you got to, people, if they get more independent, they learn how to do stuff on their own. And they actually, I'm going to tell you right, as I pointed out before, it's actually mostly, not all, but mostly it's going to be the blue-collar, skilled trade laborer, the ones that know how to do things on their own. They're going to save the day for the United States. If you look at most of these multi-billionaires out there that are like in their 20s that just developed something, new, the jerk that freaking developed Facebook. What the hell did he freaking contribute to society, man? Multi-billionaire. The one that developed Tumblr, he's another one, Who cares, man? That stuff doesn't, I could see, maybe it's communications and stuff, but, there's other avenues of communication too. You know what I'm saying? It's actually the blue collar worker that's going to save the day. So for you blue collar workers and you got some gold and silver, you might be able to land some classic steel out there in the form of motorcycles and cars later on that are very cheap. Very cheap. Because I think that stuff's going to drop. And you can use that as not the only thing you invest in, but, one thing you might invest in that is outside the banking system that you can enjoy and use and will probably appreciate in value. How's that?